What is volunteering? Volunteering Australia defines volunteering as time willingly given for the common good and without financial gain. So what does this really mean? Well, it means giving your time, service or skills or helping out in your local community and without getting paid for it. However, this doesn't generally include student placements, internships, or work experience. These are different areas of the workforce. Volunteering is generally giving back to your community and can be seen as an important way for many people to develop skills and networks for future work or study opportunities. Now let's take a look at the two different types of volunteering. Formal volunteering includes activities within an organisation, club or group. It usually involves a level of structure, support or management. Examples might be a committee member at a sporting club, sales assistant at local op shop, preparing meals for food bank, or running a fundraising campaign for your local church. Informal volunteering includes activities outside of an organisation and often involves a private arrangement and is less structured. An example might be looking after a neighbour's house or pets whilst they are on holiday, or collecting litter on your morning walk. Volunteering delivers many benefits to people who volunteer, as well as the community as a whole. It improves health and well-being and increases community connection. Volunteering improves confidence and mental health. Many organisations rely and thrive on volunteer passion and commitment. If you're interested in learning more, watch the next clip on why volunteer. Why volunteer? People volunteer for many reasons, so it's important to establish what you want to get out of volunteering. It will help if you can identify what this is before you go any further. So why do people volunteer? According to the State of Volunteering in Victoria report, the top reasons people volunteer are to give back to community, support a cause, to make friends, develop social connections, and to learn new skills. We also know that people volunteer for other reasons: to feel part of a team, to gain confidence, to learn about a new culture or community, to use existing skills, to improve mental and physical health and well-being, to make a difference, a pathway to employment, add to your resume, as a requirement when in receipt of certain Centrelink benefits, so that you can obtain a reference, to have fun. 96% of volunteers say it makes them happier. So let's look at some of the barriers to volunteering. Why do people not volunteer? Generally, it's because of limited time, work commitments, family commitments, and they've never been asked. Now let's explore some of the things you might want to think about when looking for a volunteer role. What's important to you, your values and beliefs? What would you like to gain from volunteering? Find an organisation or group that aligns with your values, a cause you believe in too. That way, you are more likely to commit to the role, feel like you are making a difference, resulting in a more meaningful experience. If you're interested to learn more, watch the next clip on the different types of volunteer roles. The different types of volunteer roles. There are many different kinds of volunteer roles, and so it is important to determine which type of volunteering suits your individual circumstances. Some people want to volunteer on the same day each week for a set number of hours. Others prefer to volunteer for a one-off event or volunteer on a specific project that ends after it is complete. Let's explore the different kinds of volunteering. Virtual or online volunteering includes activities performed online and is sometimes done from your own home. Some examples might be designing a website, social media for your group, or running a fundraising campaign. If you are volunteering online from home, you will need to ensure you are volunteering in a safe and healthy workspace and that you have regular contact with your supervisor and the organisation you are volunteering for. Episodic volunteering includes activities performed as a one-off event, for example, volunteering for a local festival or an event like a tree planting day. Community recovery volunteering, or sometimes called spontaneous emergency volunteering, includes activities that happen without any planning. They often occur during or immediately after an event. An example might be responding to a natural disaster like a bushfire, or in the recovery phase following a disaster, as pictured here with recent flooding. Bite-size or micro-volunteering includes activities that have an end date and might only be short-term. An example might be conducting a short-term survey, tax help volunteers at the end of the financial year, or camp or school holiday volunteers. These two ladies are working on a small project that may only take a matter of weeks to complete. Skilled volunteering is where a person with a particular skill or experience in a specific area may volunteer using that skill. For example, a qualified accountant might volunteer with a local sporting club to assist the treasurer of the club. A graphic designer might volunteer for a not-for-profit organisation in developing a new brochure. Here, a skilled carpenter gives back to his community by helping others to learn new skills. Ongoing, formal volunteering roles include activities within an organisation, club, or group. These roles usually involve a level of structure, support, or management, and tend to be more ongoing. Some examples might be delivering meals to older, socially isolated community members, delivering library books to people in their homes, committee members of clubs and community organisations, or helping out in the local op shop once a week. Informal volunteering includes activities that are more casual and occasional, with no structure. An example might be helping a neighbour, making cakes for a school fete, or picking up litter on your morning walk. Workplace volunteering often referred to as corporate volunteering, includes activities where an employer supports staff to offer professional skills or practical supports to others during work or paid time. It is a way for business to give back to community. An example might be a qualified accountant mentoring the treasurer of the local cricket club, or it might be a whole team from the one organisation who organise a tree planting day for a local environmental group. It's important to remember that student placements, internships, traineeships, and work experience are not considered volunteering. These are different areas of the workforce. So what about you? Have a think about what type of volunteering would suit you at the moment. Think about how much time you are prepared to give. How much flexibility do you need, or are you able to commit to a weekly role? What would suit you most? This is an important first step when looking for a volunteer role. To learn more, watch the next clip on what to expect when volunteering. Volunteering, what to expect. It's really important for you to be prepared before embarking on your volunteering journey. If you've been following these clips, you understand what volunteering is and the different types of roles. You'll know why you want to volunteer and what values you're looking for in an organisation. Generally, you'll apply for a specific volunteer role. Most organisations list their opportunities with information about the role, the frequency, location, and any prerequisites, like driver's license or skills. Now we are going to look at what to expect as you apply for a role. You may need to complete an application form outlining your skills, interests, and what you bring to the role. These days, applications are often done online. But if this doesn't work for you, contact the organisation and ask if you can complete a printed application form. The application process is important for the organisation to determine if you are a good fit for the role and to see if you have the skills they require. You may be asked to attend an interview. The purpose of the interview is to confirm when you are available to volunteer, discuss how your skills make you a good fit for the role. It allows you an opportunity to ask questions about the organisation, and this might include questions about the role itself, checking that they have volunteer personal accident insurance in place, and to gain an understanding of the organisation's purpose and values. To check your suitability for the role, the organisation might ask you to complete a police check. That is a new Australian police check, or provide evidence of a recent one. An international check is sometimes required. In most cases, the organisations will pay for the police check, but it is worth checking first. Working with children check, only if required for the role. You will need to show the card and confirm the details if you already have a card. If you don't have a card, they are free for volunteers, and information on how to apply for one can be found at the Department of Justice website or your local post office. Your referee. If possible, you will need to provide contact details for a referee, and ideally this would be someone you have worked or volunteered with or someone from an organisation, faith group or club you belong to. The purpose of the referee check is to check your identity, your character, your ability to carry out the role, and to find out if there are any additional supports that you may need in your role. If you are successful at the interview stage and screening is complete, that is the police check, reference check, you should expect to attend a volunteer induction or orientation. This will outline the organisation's purpose and values, the policies and procedures that impact volunteers, and cover workplace health and safety. Before you start the role, make sure you have cited the role description so that you're clear about the tasks involved, and some organisations will also ask you to read and sign a volunteer agreement. A volunteer agreement is the best way to be clear about the relationship between you and the organisation you're going to volunteer with. Once you've started in your volunteer role, you can expect suitable training and resources, supervision, someone you report to or can ask questions and expect regular catch-ups with, either formally or informally. Reimbursement of out-of-pocket expenses. It's important to discuss what, if any, expenses you might incur as part of your role, and whether or not they will be reimbursed. You should not be harassed, discriminated against, or exploited whilst undertaking your volunteer role. There should be policies and procedures in place regarding these issues, and they should be clear at induction. Some organisations will ask you to sign a volunteer agreement. This acknowledges that you understand your responsibilities as a volunteer and that you agree to comply to the organisation's policies and procedures. Make sure you read it through before signing and ask any questions if you are unsure. Also, ask for a copy for your own records. A written role description is as necessary for volunteers as it is for paid positions. It is important to have a role description that outlines the key tasks and sets out clear boundaries. This way, you will know exactly what the role entails, and any variation could mean that you are not covered by insurance. Again, make sure you have a copy of the role description before commencing duties. Some roles will require some training and others won't. It is important that you attend training if required, and if you are not offered training but you are unsure about something that you have to do as part of your role, make sure you ask for training if appropriate. It's okay to ask lots of questions. It's much better to be clear about what is expected of you before you start. If it doesn't feel right, don't accept the role. If you're interested in learning more, watch the next clip on your rights and responsibilities as a volunteer. Your rights and responsibilities as a volunteer. As a volunteer, you have certain rights, but you also have responsibilities. We are now going to explore some of the things you can expect as a volunteer. A fair and transparent recruitment process. A volunteer role description. It sets out clear boundaries. Volunteer insurance, to cover you if you have an accident whilst volunteering. Volunteer induction and orientation to the organisation and programme. You should expect ongoing supervision, regular catch-ups, and any resources you may need. Training for the role if required. Reimbursement of pre-agreed out-of-pocket expenses. For example, using your car whilst volunteering, you can expect reimbursement for fuel. Now we are going to explore some of your responsibilities as a volunteer. Understand the policies and procedures that affect volunteers. It is important to have an understanding of these so that you are well informed and have an awareness of the organisation's stand on certain policies and you are familiar with procedures. Report any hazard, accident, injury or near miss to your supervisor. This is important as you have a duty of care to follow health and safety procedures within the organisation. Cooperate with other volunteers or staff. It is important to communicate effectively and ask questions when you are in doubt or unsure. Undertake training as required and follow instructions. Training is important for safety and understanding of your role. Be reliable, punctual and efficient. This is important because others are often relying on your attendance. For example, delivering meals to an older, isolated resident. Respect confidentiality and privacy. You will at times have access to privileged information, and it's important that you respect this at all times. Stay within the boundaries of your role description. Insurance policies generally cover you for the tasks in the role description and may not cover you if you perform other duties not listed. For example, if your role is to deliver meals to an older, frail resident and you enter the house and change their light globe and fall and hurt yourself, you may not be covered by insurance, and changing light globes is not part of your role description. Attend the volunteer role at agreed times. It is important that the organisation you're volunteering for knows when you will be attending so that they can be prepared for you. If you aren't able to attend for any reason, let your supervisor know as soon as possible. Some things to think about. It's okay to ask lots of questions. It's much better to be clear about what is expected of you before you start. Make sure you ask questions during your volunteer experience. If you are unsure about something, ask. If it doesn't feel right, it's okay to not accept the role. If you've already started, consider talking to your supervisor or a senior leader in the organisation. And if you can't resolve your issue, then it's okay to leave. Volunteers do not sign employment contracts, so you are free to leave at any time, and the organisation can also ask you to leave at any time. If you're interested to learn more, watch the next clip on finding a volunteer role. Finding a volunteer role. Before applying for a volunteer role, there are a few things to think about first. Find an organisation that aligns with your values. If their purpose is something you also believe in and think is worthwhile, you are more likely to enjoy your role. Find a role that fits with your schedule and requirements. For example, an ongoing weekly shift, a short-term project, or volunteering online from home. Remember, only organisations which don't trade for a profit can engage volunteers. For example, a community organisation run by a committee, a sporting club, a larger organisation that has paid employees and also volunteers. If you're not sure, you can ask them. It's important to consider volunteer insurance and to ask the organisation if they have this in place before you start your role. Now let's look at the different ways you can find opportunities. You can contact your local volunteer resource centre, Volunteer West. You can call them on 1800 123 865 or visit their website at volunteerwest.org.au. You can visit online recruitment websites. There are many. Go Volunteer matches people who are interested in volunteering with appropriate volunteering opportunities. Go Volunteer makes it easy to find a volunteer role that suits your interests, motivation, availability, and location. Seek Volunteer. Search for volunteer roles all around Australia and see their advice and tips guide to finding the right volunteer opportunity. Their search filters enable you to customise your search and increase your chances of finding the right opportunity. Filter by category, work type, availability and more to help narrow down the list of opportunities that are right for you. You can save the search and be notified by email as new opportunities matching your criteria get posted. Volunteering Victoria is Victoria's volunteering peak body and have some great resources and information for volunteers. Communitea is a crowdsourcing platform that connects, engages and mobilises volunteers to tackle the world's greatest challenges through virtual volunteering. Volley is an online marketplace that connects skilled people to non-profits, charities and social enterprises for skills-based online volunteering. Volley projects are exclusively online, meaning that people can donate their skills and experience from anywhere in the world and around their busy personal and professional schedule. Make direct contact with an organisation. You can email or phone organisations and ask if they have any volunteer opportunities. And you can learn about volunteer roles from friends, students or teachers. Wyndham City Council, and whilst Council does not offer a matching service, we do recruit for our own council-run volunteer programs. These are advertised on our website by selecting Careers and then Step into Volunteering. Council also provides support and resources to volunteer involving organisations and free training for volunteers and community groups. For more information, go to the Wyndham Council website and type in Volunteer and Community Group Training in the search bar. Some things to consider. Choose the method to finding a role that suits you best. For example, face-to-face conversation, applying online, or filling out an application form. Research the organisation before applying to find out what they do, their purpose and their mission. Be patient as recruitment can take a few days to several weeks. Ask questions. If you're interested to learn more, watch the next clip on volunteering, looking after yourself. Volunteering, looking after yourself. It's important to look after yourself when committing to a volunteer role. Avoid overcommitting yourself and say no when you need to. Be realistic about your goals and ambitions. Avoid setting unrealistic deadlines for yourself. Ask your supervisor for help when you need it. Give yourself plenty of time to relax and unwind. If you're sick or need a holiday, it's okay to take time off from your role. Just let your supervisor know as soon as possible. If your volunteer role is stressful, debrief with your program supervisor. Learn to accept that there are some things you may not be able to change. When your role is no longer fulfilling, change role or move on. Supervision and support for ongoing roles. Ideally, you will have a meeting with your supervisor at least once a year to update your personal and emergency contact details. Discuss your plans and interest in continuing. Discuss any scheduled training or changes to the organisation. Provide feedback on your role. Some things to think about. Keep things in perspective. Remember to laugh and have fun.